Hello, my name is Catarina Reis. Welcome to the course of Design and Testing of Software. I'm here to guide you through the third topic, static testing. Let's start with static testing basics. What are static techniques? For one hand is the way to test software work products without the execution of the code, and on the other hand, they rely on the manual examination, often called reviews, and automated analysis, static analysis of the code or other project documentation. What are reviews and what can be reviewed? A review is a systematic examination of a document by one or more people with the main aim of finding and removing errors. They can be performed well before the code has been written or dynamic test execution. The main manual activity is to examine a work product that can be reviewed. The idea is to make comments about it. There are different levels of review, from very informal through very formal. They all have their benefits and should be used throughout the software development lifecycle. Any software product can be reviewed. So, requirements and design specs, any other type of design documentation can also be reviewed, such as data flow diagrams and entity relationship diagrams. Code, test plans, test specifications, test cases, test scripts, user guides, and web pages. So, any system documentation such as user manuals and help can be validated. Remember the diagram that illustrated the cost of finding and fixing defects that increases over time? For example, if an error is made and the defect is detected in the requirements at the specification stage, then it is relatively cheap to fix. However, not finding and fixing the defect until acceptance test or live use will be much more expensive. Development productivity can be improved and timescales reduced. The correction of defects in early work products will help to ensure that those work products are clear and unambiguous. Testing costs and time can be reduced by removing the main delays in test execution which arise when defects are found after they have become failures and the tester has to wait for a fix to be delivered. Reductions in lifetime costs can be achieved because fewer defects in the final software ensure that outgoing support costs will be lower. Analysis has been performed on projects using reviews, and it is estimated that ongoing reviews cost around 15% of the total development budget. These costs include all the preparatory work required for the reviews to take place. Improved communication results as authors and their peers discuss and refine any ambiguous content discovered during review. Reviews can find omissions in requirements which are unlikely to be found in dynamic testing. Early defects, faults, are often the most important to find. They have the characteristic to multiply themselves top-down. Well-founded statistics estimate that 60% of defects have already been made before coding implementation has even started. Therefore, it makes sense to carry out early lifecycle testing activities. One of the main reasons for project failure is ambiguity in the requirements. A common goal to reviews, static analysis, and dynamic testing is to identify defects. The different techniques are complementary. Static techniques find causes of failures rather than the failures themselves. In respect of reviews, the work product is being reviewed to validate it against actual requirements and to verify that it has been created to the appropriate standard and contains everything it should. It is thus vital that the review team works together to achieve a consensus of opinion regarding the work product being reviewed. Another goal of the review process is that the review team works together to improve the quality of the item being reviewed. It is a constructive, not a destructive process. In respect of static analysis, the examination of the code can identify inefficiencies, defects in the code. Typical defects that are easier to find in reviews include deviations from standards, either internally defined and managed or regulatory legally defined by governments or perhaps a trade organization, requirements defects, requirements are ambiguous or sometimes there are missing elements, design defects, the design does not match the requirements, insufficient maintainability, the code is too complex to maintain, and even incorrect interface specifications where the interface specification does not match the design.